in Omaha in the college baseball season.
Per gallon days are here, and at Crane Kia of Fayetteville, we're introducing the Kia Hybrids. Trade up and drive off in the new 2022 Kia Sorento, the 2022 Niro, or the all-new 2023 Sportage, while saving your gas money. We have the gas savers you are looking for at Crane Kia of Fayetteville. And if we don't have the perfect Kia for you on our lot, we'll order it just for you. Stop by Crane Kia of Fayetteville at 3195 North College Avenue, or go online to cranekiaoffayetteville.com to see what Crane can do for you in 22.
This is Trey Holloway, former pitcher for the Arkansas Razorbacks and current Pascal Pro. Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric wants to congratulate the Hogs for earning their spot in the 2022 College World Series. While the Hogs bring the heat to Omaha, Mother Nature is cranking up the heat in Arkansas. When your home comfort is on the line, bring in your ace. Head to gopascal.com to set up your Pascal protection plan. You'll get seasonal maintenance, discounts on service calls and repairs, and replacement credits. Schedule online today at gopascal.com.
What does amazing sound like? At Baptist Health, we hear it every day. It sounds like countless miracles. Another finish line crossed. one faithful mission. And 100 years of all our best. Thank you for allowing Baptist Health to provide you with compassionate care for the past 100 years. We look forward to serving you for many to come. Visit Baptist-Health.com to learn more.
Back again at Harry Robinson Salisaw Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off of I-40 in Salisaw. A fresh load of 2022 Fords has arrived. Troy, you got a great selection of brand new Fords.
Yes, we definitely do. And hey, if we don't have what you're looking for, we still have a lot of units that are in transit right now. So most of the time, these new vehicles that show up, we've already got deposits on them and everything. But right now, we've got a lot of retailable units that are available. Get down here and see us. If it's what you're looking for, we can put a small deposit down and hold that vehicle for you.
Do you know what's on the way? Can we look at that while I'm here?
Yes, definitely. We've got F-150s. We've got some Explorers, Edges, Escapes. We've even got 2 Broncos that's on its way right now. So come down here and see us. Let's take a look and see what we have coming in. And if it's something that you're wanting, let's put you a deposit down, and we can even secure your financing right now.
If you're looking for a brand new 22 Ford, they're here at Harry Robinson Salisaw Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off of I-40 in Salisaw, and always online at harryrobinson.com.
NWA Gold and Silver has moved to a new location in Fort Smith at 4600 Rogers Avenue across from Med Express. NWA Gold and Silver is always buying gold and silver, scrap, bullion, and coins. Plus, NWA Gold and Silver buys and sells jewelry of all kinds. Diamond rings, wedding bands, engagement rings, earrings, and more. Bring in your gold or silver today to the people that pay the most and have the best deals. NWA Gold and Silver in their new location at 4600 Rogers Avenue across from Med Express in Fort Smith.
When was the last time you looked forward to seeing the dentist? Well, if it's been a while, or if you haven't had the best of experiences with dentistry, meet Marcy Van Ash McKinney Family Dentistry. Give her a call at 494-7600. They'll take care of it all. Crowns, bonding, dentures, bleaching, and cosmetic dentistry. Marcy Van Ash McKinney Family Dentistry at 807 South 21st. Call for an appointment today. 494-7600. That's 494-7600.
This is Trey Holloway, former pitcher for the Arkansas Razorbacks and current Pascal Pro. Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric wants to congratulate the Hogs for earning their spot in the 2022 College World Series. While the Hogs bring the heat to Omaha, Mother Nature is cranking up the heat in Arkansas. When your home comfort is on the line, bring in your ace. Head to GoPascal.com to set up your Pascal protection plan. You'll get seasonal maintenance, discounts on service calls and repairs, and replacement credits. Schedule online today at GoPascal.com.
We all hope that day never comes, the day you need an attorney. But when it does, call David L. Moore, Attorney at Law. David L. Moore assists his clients with criminal, personal injury, and family law cases. He's also a state-certified defense lawyer for DHS cases. Whenever you need an attorney, call David L. Moore at 479-410-9300. That's 479-410-9300. David L. Moore, Attorney at Law.
Are you looking for a great deal on a previously owned vehicle but want to avoid high-pressure sales? If so, you need to visit Edwards Auto Sales in Roland. For over 30 years, Ernie Edwards and his staff have helped folks from Arkansas and Oklahoma River Valley buy a quality vehicle and offer a buy here, pay here program as part of their services. Some restrictions may apply. Come visit Edwards Auto Center newly remodeled facility, 3 miles west of the Garrison Bridge, the first car dealer on your right, or log on at edwardsautosalesinc.com.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3. This is Hog Reaction live in Omaha at the College World Series.
And the roadshow continues for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Our daily live coverage of the Hogs in the College World Series is presented by Crane Kia of Fayetteville. Find your next gas saver during our MPG days at Crane Kia of Fayetteville. When it's hot outside and your AC isn't cooling, avoid the hassle. Go Pascal. Schedule your service call today at GoPascal.com. Baptist Health. Amazing has a new home. Find a doctor near you at BaptistHealth.com.
John from Alma texts in, man, I'm really going to miss Jalen Battles and Robert Moore, the best middle infield that we have ever had. Time and time again this season, plays that would have gotten through the gap or that would have been singles or doubles to certain other guys. Those guys made plays time and time again, and not just in the regular season but postseason as well. It's not just them two. There's a bunch of guys this season that need to be credited, and we'll do that here coming up. Hog Reaction would not be possible, Tommy, without a couple special sponsors, not just Hog Reaction, but our coverage here in Omaha all week long.
Yeah, and it's been brought to you by Crane Kia of Fayetteville. MPG days are on right now. Find your next gas saver at cranekia of Fayetteville.com. By Baptist Health. Find a doctor near you at baptist-health.com. And by Paschal Heating and Air. To avoid the hassle, go Paschal. Go to gopaschal.com to schedule your service appointment.
Now, Logan in Alma asked a question. He asked, are we on track to mirror Florida State in baseball? And you have probably the stat off the top of your head. Is it 17 College World Series appearances for Mike? I know he's the all-time.
The program's had 23.
But he's got 17, right?
Maybe 18. But I know Florida State leads the list of programs with appearances in the College World Series without a title at 23. Because I remember the graphic earlier this week watching the coverage. North Carolina was at 10. Arkansas is now at 11. Those were all numbers prior to this one, but the only one that really mattered. And then there was an obscure school, I can't remember, that had 10 as well, so one you wouldn't think of. So Arkansas, North Carolina, Florida State are kind of the leaders amongst the handful of schools that have made double-digit appearances without a national championship at the College World Series.
And I hope that's not the case, and I hope at some point in time this team is able to win a national championship. And it's tough. I know a lot of fans were asking, when is our time going to come with baseball? Because you've had a lot of good teams under Dave Van Horn since the initial College World Series jump that he took in his second season in 2004. And we know how difficult it is to win a national championship in any sport, specifically the three major sports. A lot of luck has got to go on your side as well. And unfortunately, the clock struck midnight tonight inside of at Charles Schwab Field, which is a true bummer because it was against a bitter rival, an interconference opponent that you would love to have beaten to get to the national championship.
You know, I'm just looking at the list of teams that have the most appearances in the College World Series. Texas with 36. The College World Series has been around, 75 years. Now they've made, 37 appearances, counting this year's. Miami with 25. Florida State, we mentioned, they have 23 College World Series appearances. You come down the list. Oklahoma State has been there 20 times. There's a handful of schools in between, but you look at LSU. I guess Texas will eventually lead the SEC. LSU has 18, Mississippi State with 12, and now you find Arkansas after this year with 11. So still amongst the elites in the SEC, which you'd expect with the way they played over the last decade or so.
Yeah, and that's typical Arkansas baseball under Dave Van Horn as you're here. And now he and the players, whoever he has, maybe on next year's team or the year after that, have to just come together and find a way to win one of these suckers. Because right now, Tommy, you're third on both sides, both Dave Van Horn as a coach and then Arkansas baseball. You've got the third most appearances in the College World Series without winning a national title. So you're still a ways off from Florida State and a ways off from Mike Martin, but you are getting there. And I hope that it does not come to that point where you do get inch closer and closer and closer without a ring, without a national championship. And I don't want to make light of how difficult it is. Don't mishear me as we're reacting to a 2-0 loss to Ole Miss. I just know that Arkansas fans desperately, for their head coach, want this team to pull through and finally win one, and this year just wasn't it.
Yeah, and but if you're a Florida State fan, if you're an observer of college baseball, I know you got the onus, I guess, of no titles, but 23 appearances in the College World Series, that's still pretty heady stuff there. So, I mean, what would you rather have, 2 or 3 and never have won one, or Arkansas went out with 11 and never won one, or at least you had 23 trips to Omaha? That's still nothing to discount.
Yeah, but you said it earlier this week. Yeah, I mean, I want to go back to what you said earlier this week because I talked about how this team ended up making the College World Series, making the Elite Eight, and making it to 9 wins plus a bowl win. You said, well, they still don't have a championship to show for it. And that's those are your words, and I think a lot of fans feel that way about not just for baseball, but they want to win a national championship, which in the 3 major sports you haven't done since 1994, which is a while. And in order to do that, it has to be a special group of young men and a little bit of luck on your side. And we know how close they were in 2018. And, I mean, this team is a game away from going back to the College World Series. We heard Bubba in the broadcast saying that he felt confident that this team would beat Oklahoma if they got by Ole Miss today and got a chance to start matching up with them on Saturday. But we'll never know because this team just was not able to hit, unfortunately. 877-377-6963. You're welcome to tweet at us. You're welcome to respond on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You're also welcome to call in like Robert in Fort Smith has done tonight. Robert, go ahead. You're on the you're on Hog Reaction.
I am tired of being Georgia in baseball, fight for football, because Georgia with Mark Richt, they kept going 10-2, 11-1, and we get there and we can't finish. And it gets heartbreaking. And no, I'm not saying we need another coach or not, but it just gets old that we can't finish it. You know?
It's all about timing. I mean, if the last 2 years don't show us anything other than it's about timing, it's about staying healthy, it's about peaking at the right time. I mean, we've seen that. Arkansas was the best team all regular season last year. Didn't get to Omaha. Tennessee, clearly the most dominant team in the country. And some would say, well, the SEC's overrated. Were they? I mean, look at the College World Series. I know it was West heavy, but, you know, it's all about the timing. And then once you get to Omaha, as we're seeing, it's about lining up your pitchers in the right spot. Without DeLucia, do you think Ole Miss has a better chance? Who's going to be the odds-on favorite now? So there's so many things, and it's I was talking with a friend of mine today. Of all the championships, Robert, that you play, the March Madness, the college football playoff, just go down the list of all of it. Is there anything more open, more wide open for anyone to win it? The last at large to get in the field's going to play for the national title. That would never happen in college basketball. Closest I can think of would be UConn a few years ago, 10 years ago or so.
Oh, you're right. I mean, it's just, you know, and I get it, just the timing. And
yeah.
You got to line it up right. It just, we get so close on it, gets frustrating, you know, because they get me to believing to where we got a shot, and then, you know, we lose again. But have a good one, guys.
Yeah, it just makes you want to puke that Ole Miss tie is going to have a shot at a national title. Good call, Robert. But you got to have it all line up. I mean, and that doesn't – I just don't think the sport always, and it's just the way baseball is, accurately reflects who the best team in college baseball is. Rarely probably lifts the trophy at the end of the College World Series.
Well, it's really easy to say that because no team since 1999 as the number one overall seed has won the national championship. And you can't say, well, they seed them bad every year. You're going to tell me they've seeded them bad for, 23, 24 straight years? You could say that at maybe about 5, maybe 10, but not that long. So it's very difficult to win this championship, but other teams have found a way to do it. Other programs that don't have the facilities that you do, that don't have the coaching staffs that you do, that don't even have the players that you do. So to counter that, you also have to come back with, well, Arkansas has it better than almost anyone in college, if not anyone in college baseball. So at a certain point in time, the expectation should be to come away with that sucker, to come away with that trophy, and to win a national championship. It would be different if the obstacles were what you had to counter if you had poor facilities, or if recruiting like it was in football, because recruiting in football in this state is just not what it is in the other SEC institutions that you go up against. Baseball in this state has grown tremendously, and there's a lot of good travel ball teams. There's a lot of good high schools that get recruits all over the country. You saw this team littered with in-state kids that made impact all over the field and all throughout the season, specifically in postseason. I know that it's a combination of happiness to see these guys get to that point, frustration that they lost to Ole Miss, and a little bit of disappointment. That's okay. You don't have to feel one certain way, because it's probably a combination of a bunch of things as we're, again, reacting to a 2-0 loss to Ole Miss.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at the roster a little bit later on. There's going to be some overhaul, obviously. There's some veteran players that'll move on. There's some underclassmen that play just like veteran players and have been key components of this team that will probably go in the draft this year. I think it's an interesting conversation when you just look down the lineup card of who might be back, but you also look down the roster and you got a good assortment of young freshman players that you're going to build around. And you saw, Peyton Stovall have an outstanding College World Series. You saw Hagen Smith with a great performance yesterday from the mound. So those are just two examples, Ty, of some great young players you can build around when you're kind of constructing the roster and the rotations and the things in your mind for next year.
Yeah, you think about what Eric Musselman has had to do year in, year out. I don't know if it will be the same extent what Dave Van Horn will have to do, but you are losing a lot on this team for next year. And they have a talented group of recruits coming in. They brought in some high-caliber JUCO players and transfers that are going to hopefully fit in the Dave Van Horn system, and they'll get all synced up with what Arkansas baseball, the culture, and what is expected at the university when you play baseball. So a lot to look forward to next year. And, again, when you have an athletics department that finished in the postseason the way that Arkansas football, basketball, and baseball did, and if you want to throw soccer and softball in there as well, men's track and field, women's track and field, you've got a lot of things to be excited about in the future. But, again, we're sitting here as following a loss, and it's sometimes difficult to couple those negative emotions that you may have when you were so close to playing for a national championship. And Arkansas fans know that feeling all too well, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, all right, your calls, your reaction here on Hog Reaction, 877-377-6963 is the number. I know we probably haven't put a lot of thought into it yet, but do you have a lean? Do you like Oklahoma because of the rest, or do you think Ole Miss is just on a magical ride here in Omaha?
I'd rather have Oklahoma end up winning the whole thing. Some of our listeners will dislike that. Some of our listeners will agree with me. It's not like I'm cheering for either team. I would just rather Oklahoma beat Ole Miss. I mean, you look at how Ole Miss has played in postseason ball, only one loss, the 3-2 loss they suffered at the hands of you last night. That's their only loss this postseason. Now, you brought up the pitching identity for the Rebels as they head into the national championship with DeLucia pitching over 100 pitches on Saturday. And what was his total pitch count tonight? What did it end up at, Tommy? You've got the stat sheet in front of you.
113.
Okay. So he busted 100 twice. That's something to monitor. Maybe he can pitch on Monday night in relief or maybe start for a few innings, but he's their best pitcher, and that's something that Mike Bianco is going to have to kind of counter. I don't know what Oklahoma's pitching rotation, and that looks like based on what they've done the last couple. I do know they had the advantage of not having to play today with them beating Texas A&M and advancing as of yesterday.
But we were all kind of hand-wringing this morning, worried about starting pitching. How long could Nolan go? Would he get you 6 innings? Would he maybe get you 5? If he could get you 5 or 6, it'd be great. Worried about pitch count. I thought it'd be closer to maybe 72 or 3 pitches is kind of where he was at the end of 7. He gives you 8 innings and 84 pitches, and that's what's going to be expected at the next level, the kind of rest he had. I think this is a good sign for Connor Nolan that, hey, when you go to the next level, you're working in pro ball, you're on shorter rest. It shows what you're capable of today because he had a good outing in the loss today with 2 runs on 7 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks. But DeLucia proved it just as much, a complete game, 113-pitch performance today with no runs on 4 hits and striking out 7. Both of these guys pitched like pros today.
Yeah, and if I'm Connor Nolan, you couldn't have ended the season that much stronger. I know that he's going to get credited with the loss, but he didn't lose this game tonight. The hitters did because you couldn't seem to get any runs piled up and together. Connor Nolan did himself a favor for postseason scouts how he pitched down the stretch against Grand Canyon, against North Carolina, against Ole Miss tonight, and then against who did he pitch against to start? Stanford. So he looked good in every single one of those outings and was very frustrating for opposing coaches with his slider. That's what I remember Coach Forbes was talking about in Chapel Hill, how he was just hoping, waiting that his slider would dip or it would go into a funk, and it just never did. So credit this guy for who kind of not struggling. He just didn't have his best outings down the stretch in the regular season, and then he just came roaring back and gave you a chance to end up in the national championship. The hitting just didn't deliver for you tonight.
And, I didn't feel like you point out the lack of hitting for Arkansas, and that's certainly fair when you only have 4 hits on the board. But I didn't feel like Arkansas did anything to necessarily beat themselves. Pitching was solid. Fielding was solid today. DeLucia was just the story of the game and was just that much better than anyone else. And you're right to point out the lack of hitting from this team today, because that's the battle that you lost that ultimately cost you the game. But it just does. You don't walk away feeling like you kicked yourself. That you shot your own foot off in this one today. Is I guess the field you didn't boot the ball around in the field. You didn't come up with timely hits because you didn't have any hits. So I mean that was the essence of it. It didn't feel like to me you just you went out and beat yourself. You just got outplayed in this one by Ole Miss.
Now here's a text from Braley saying, I will root for Texas before I ever root for Oklahoma. And I think some Arkansas fans that will watch this game will feel the exact same way. Another message, this comes from Arkansas, Greg. So what leads you to believe that Dave Van Horn Tommy is going to be a bride and not continue to be a bridesmaid? That's the message that he wants to know as we're reacting here on Hog Reaction. What leads you to believe that Arkansas is going to get over that hump and not be the Mike Martin, not be the Florida State?
Mm-hmm.
What gives you?
How do you go about? What's the recipe for winning a college football national championship? What's the recipe? What do you got to do? What's the common denominator?
Top 10 recruiting class.
How many of them? Not one, but you stack them, right?
Clemson is the only team that's won a national championship. That was back in 2017. That I think did not have a top 10 recruiting class in the last decade or so, at least one that made it to campus.
So stacking top 5 classes after top 5 classes, top 10 classes on top of top 10 classes generally gives you the better edge. That's why I believe Dave Van Horn will finally get to the winner's circle in Omaha, is the recruiting is consistently good. And eventually the stars will align. Unfortunately, you've not had it go your way. I mean, you look at the injury before the season even started. How did that affect things with Peyton Pallette not being with you throughout the course of the year? I don't know if he'll be back next year, if he'll be a pro, in a few months. He's recovering from the Tommy John. So that was one thing that didn't go your way and could have certainly changed the way things played out throughout the course of the SEC and in your postseason and with your rotations. Took a little while for Connor Nolan to be at his best, but he was at his absolute best at the right time. So I believe Dave Van Horn will get there as long as he can recruit at this level, because eventually when you just out-talent people, sooner or later the circumstances of what's required to unlock the magical combination to a College World Series national championship will fall into place.
Chaz and Fayetteville ask, I think, a good and pertinent question. What would this final game potentially, or not even had looked like if they had gone with Hagen Smith instead of Morris in the first game against Ole Miss on Monday? What could this outcome would have looked like if you were in a situation on Wednesday night where you were the team that would have, had to sit in the winner's bracket, and you would have waited on either Ole Miss or Auburn to come out of the loser's bracket and play them on Wednesday night? That's the question that he's asking.
I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but clearly there was an effort to get, until today, get lefties in front of Ole Miss, right? So, I think Dave went with the analytics, and it just didn't work out with Zach Morris. And then you went with Hagen Smith. So, there's always room for second guessing when it doesn't work out in college baseball. And the games you won, handily was because you had the best pitching. You had the best starting pitcher in the ball game. So the game you lost with Zach Morris is because you let the other team score first. And what happened and what streak stayed alive again today? The team that scored first won the ball game. And that seems to be something that's more common than not, and a dominant theme at the College World Series.
That's the question that I know people have asked, and you've got another question or two. You're more than welcome to jump in here as we're reacting again to Arkansas's 2-0 loss to Ole Miss. We're live at DJ's Dugout on Capitol Avenue. When we come back, more calls and texts as Arkansas season has come to an end here in Omaha.
You're listening to Hog Reaction live in Omaha at the College World Series.
Great people, great equipment, great opportunities. That is what you get at Patriot Transport, based in Centerville, Arkansas, with locations in Russellville and Van Buren, with regional OTR and local opportunities for qualified CDL drivers. Make up to $95,000 annually and be a part of a team that embraces the concept of family. Patriot Transport wants you to be successful on the road and at home, working with every driver to ensure they get the miles they want and the family time at home they strive for. Patriot Transport, more than trucking, it's family. Visit patriottransport.com to apply.
Are you looking for a great deal on a previously owned vehicle but want to avoid high-pressure sales? If so, you need to visit Edwards Auto Sales in Roland. For over 30 years, Ernie Edwards and his staff have helped folks from Arkansas and Oklahoma River Valley buy a quality vehicle and offer a buy here, pay here program as part of their services. Some restrictions may apply. Come visit Edwards Auto Center newly remodeled facility 3 miles west of the Garrison Bridge, the first car dealer on your right, or log on at edwardsautosalesinc.com.
Why do people do business with First Western? Because First Western builds relationships with all of their customers. They partner for the long haul to help you with your financial goals over all seasons of life. First Western is prompt, responsive, and they deliver with quick answers and on-time loan closings. When is the last time your banker called you? If you are looking for a high level of service and a financial partner who will listen and respond, try First Western. For more information, visit them online at firstwestern.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Champion Cycling, located at 5500 Massard Road, is a locally owned bike shop in Fort Smith that wants to help you find the joy in cycling that has been a part of their family for years. Their goal is to find the right bike for you, whether it's a road bike, mountain bike, or just a bike for leisure. Champion Cycling is totally stocked and has a large selection of bikes, including brands from Specialized, Pivot, and Look. Whether it's fixing a flat tire or a basic tune-up, their dependable service department is always ready to help. Stop by Champion Cycling today at 5500 Massard Road, and they will help you find your joy in cycling.
It is summertime. Lock in your price for the next 2 summers by making the move to Dish with World of Wireless, 877-305-DISH.
Yeah, call WOW now, 877-305-DISH, or stop by right at the light in Barling next to Frank Rowe Furniture. See our showroom, check out the all-new Hopper, see the voice remote work, see the portable satellites. It is summertime, so come by and see the portable Playmaker and see how it works, and you can take it anywhere on the road and get all your channels anywhere in the country.
Plus, you're given the free upgrade on the voice-activated remotes, free installation. You can be watching this weekend with World of Wireless.
$100 Visa gift card. You sign up for Dish, get it from WOW. We'll throw in a $100 Visa gift card and bring in any mailer that you have. We will honor any mailer. Just come see us or call us.
And the price is locked in for the next 2 years. That's very important because everything's going up, but this guarantees your satellite bill, your TV bill won't go up for the next 2 summers when you sign up now. 877-305-DISH. That's 877-305-3474.
Before you buy that next car or truck, stop by Broadway Motors in Van Buren. The best of the best for 2 straight years. Michael and his team offer the best prices on the best quality pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. They invite you to stop by and check it out for yourself. Or if you prefer to check out their inventory online or even do your financing online. Michael has built his reputation as a husband, father, and owner-operator since 2006. Broadway Motors, 806 Broadway in Van Buren, or online at BroadwayMotorsAR.com.
Gray Steel Structures Incorporated is a family-owned business based in Greenwood specializing in steel structures. Owner Will Gray has 20 years experience doing the job right and making sure you're satisfied with the structure you have a need for. Gray Steel Structures serves both commercial and residential customers. Whatever your need may be, mini storage, RV storage, home workshop, or any metal building need, make Gray Steel Structures your first call. Gray Steel Structures, 252-2783. That's 252-2783.
GraySteelStructuresInc.com. That's Gray with an A.
This is Hog Reaction live in Omaha at the College World Series.
And the road show continues for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Our daily live coverage of the Hogs and the College World Series is presented by Crane Kia of Fayetteville. Find your next gas saver during our MPG days at Crane Kia of Fayetteville. When it's hot outside and your AC isn't cooling, avoid the hassle. Go Paschal. Schedule your service call today at gopaschal.com. Baptist Health. Amazing has a new home. Find a doctor near you at baptisthealth.com.
All right, final segment here on Hog Reaction. 2-0 victory for Ole Miss. They advance to the national championship. And not a lot of offense, but a lot of defense in tonight's ball game, whatever you want to call it, including a play from Robert Moore that was so spectacular that I think it was Kemp Alderman, as he was departing from first base, pulled off his batting helmet and tipped a cap to the Golden Glove winner, Tommy. I thought that was a pretty cool gesture on the Ole Miss player's part.
Absolutely, and it was a heck of a play, and they were analyzing how quick he got up, flipped his hips, made the move to first, the athleticism to complete that play. And tell me the last time Robert Moore's missed on a play like that, where he's gotten up, got himself in position, thrown, and missed first base. Now, some of the credit goes to Stovall. He has made his other infield mates look great at times, but Robert Moore is rarely off target. I can't remember the last time he missed the target at first base with Stovall.
Yeah, he has got one of the quickest releases that I've seen, and then Stovall, as you said, is really, really good at picking plays. Now, you wanted earlier to kind of transition to what this roster and what this team's going to look like next year. We're not necessarily going to dive into all the players that are coming in, but there's a good chunk of them departing, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking down the roster, looking down the lineup, and you mentioned Robert Moore. He's at the top of your roster anyway, wearing number 1, but he's a junior infielder. He's not coming back. He's going to the draft. He's probably your third or fourth highest prospect as far as on your roster. That when you look down draft orders, it's kind of what I've seen. Caden Wallace has been number 1 with most of those lists that I've looked at. Pallett's still up there. Jalen Battle's a senior. He's not coming back. Now, if I get off on some of this COVID year, still messes with some of these guys with me and their eligibility. But Zach Gregory's a redshirt junior out in left field. Possibly he comes back. You look at a freshman like Kendall Diggs, who pinch hit in a couple of situations the last 2 days. He's going to be a piece you can build around next year. Caden Wallace, he's probably going to be your first drafted Razorback next year. So I'd kind of expect him to be the first off the board, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think that he's probably the most polished of both hitting, fielding, and all around. He can hit power. He can field. He was really good at third baseman. You've also got, I think, Lanzilli and Turner, the transfers, McIntyre as well. Those are some names. I think Braden Webb also. Those are
Slavens is a senior. You got Connor Nolan that he ended his career today in a high note. So, I mean, you just go through it. Elijah Trest is a senior on this team. So there's going to be a lot of holes to fill, but a great class coming in. Cole Ramage, redshirt senior. So he won't be. The question's going to be on some of these guys that are third-year juniors, some that are 21 years old, and then some that have redshirted and what decision they might make after just playing 2 years but 3 years removed from high school.
And a tip of the cap to these guys, not just for this season in 2022, but for being consensus number 1 for the majority of 2021, for a 2019 College World Series appearance, and a 2018 finals appearance here in Omaha. Now, not every single one of those players were on all those teams, but some of those guys that we just listed off have been a part of those teams, some if not all. So pretty special little stint basically from 2018 to 2022, and the COVID kind of threw a wrench in a lot of these guys' career, and they were given an extra year, which I thought was good and smart by the NCAA, not just in baseball, but several of the sports as well. Now, we are unfortunately going to miss out on Barry Switzer throwing the first pitch to Keith Jackson. That was just inevitable if Arkansas played Oklahoma in the national championship. Someone told me that in the press box today. I'm forgetting who it was, but that would have been hysterical to see, and I think a lot of Arkansas and Oklahoma fans would have been more than happy to see Switzer throw the first pitch to Keith Jackson.
Will they not still do that? 2 Oklahoma legends?
I doubt the Ole Miss would be too keen on that. Maybe I'm wrong, but the Arkansas and Ole Miss fans would be more than happy to I think get on board with that. Maybe it's an Oklahoma for the home game. They pick 2 Oklahoma guys for the home game, and then 2 Mississippi guys for the game 2 or whatever. Well, but it's definitely more. Go ahead.
Wouldn't you? You'd have to have a Manning. Wouldn't you have to have maybe 2 of the Mannings throw out for Ole Miss?
Archie and Eli.
Yeah,
I think that could
father
work,
son.
You got to make Archie bend down.
I mean, you've already. I think he probably gets to throw it, right? Eli gets to catch. You've already seen Peyton there earlier in the week. So if you were picking somebody out for Ole Miss, I can't think of anyone better than Archie and Eli for Ole Miss.
Yeah, and Peyton's been home in Omaha, or been home, and I don't even know if he lives in Knoxville. I doubt he lives in Knoxville. I know that Arch and his father, Cooper, they live in the New Orleans area because he goes to that
Soon
high
to move
school.
to Austin.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw that commit. What did you think of that today as Arch Manning has announced his verbal commitment to play for
the highest
what could
bidder?
be.
The highest bidder won, I guess. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, not surprised that Texas would
Really?
win out. You know, well, I mean, you've heard a lot of rumblings about that, and I think if you're Arch, don't you want to go make your own legacy somewhere? Yes, you could go to Ole Miss, perhaps. I thought Alabama and Texas were probably the last two, and I think maybe the thought is would Saban be there in the overhaul or the overturn, rather, they have it offensive coordinator. I don't know what was in their head, but, I mean, Texas is a power brand in college football, obviously. They haven't had the recent success. You go there with the name Manning and you rebuild that thing into a college football playoff team or a national champion, you'll be on that same level as Uncle Peyton is at Tennessee. Even though he didn't win that national title, he rebuilt that program to put him in the position in '98 to do it. He's got every chance in the world to be the hero of the Texas program, the modern day Vince Young. So, I mean, I think you want to enter a place with a great entry point, and Texas provides that. There's nothing but downhill range at Alabama. Upside is you're probably going to play for a national title, but you could take Texas to a height they hadn't been in 20 years.
Yeah, and Texas hasn't been to a national championship since Colt McCoy and Garrett Gilbert in 2009, where Alabama won their first national championship under Nick Saban. So it's been a while since they've been nationally prominent. I don't know if Arch is the guy to get him there. He's definitely going to have the accolades and the spotlight, but it's one thing to have that. It's another thing to actually do that. He'll have to do it in the Southeastern Conference at some point during his career, which I'm assuming that was put into the equation with Texas and Oklahoma, at least right now, joining in 2025. Some people speculate it could be earlier. I'm really curious to see what his career looks like in Austin, assuming he stays with his verbal commitment, because he is not signed. He's just verbally committed to that university. But go ahead.
Can you imagine the NIL promises that are being made for him to attend the University of Texas? When that starts to filter out, I think you probably should, being reasonable, deduct about 30% of what you hear from the rumors, but it won't be all wrong. If it's in the tens of millions of dollars over a 3-year career, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, we've talked about the hype that Nick Smith Jr. has heading up to Fayetteville as the number one player on 24/7 Sports, and as the guy that ESPN projects as the number one college draft pick in this upcoming NBA draft. He's facing a heck of a lot of pressure being an in-state kid, the expectation, fair or foul, right or wrong, that this team should wind up in the Final Four in Houston this next year. And he's going to face probably the most pressure that any Arkansas athlete has faced in the last 2 decades outside of Mitch Mustaine. Is that a fair comparison of those two? Can you think of any other player that was as highly heralded? And I know that you might say, Darren McFadden, quarterbacks and point guards, and Nick's going to play a little bit of the point guard of the two. To me, those are the two positions that are the most scrutinized in all of sports, what the point guard does and what the quarterback does. And I would even say the quarterback is more – go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say anything, but I agree. I think quarterback's in its own class. I don't even think point guard is necessarily, scrutinized as much as the quarterback. So I think quarterback's it's its own animal right there. So, yeah, I mean, the scrutiny of being the quarterback at Texas – or the quarterback at Alabama comes, and sometimes at Alabama it's not if you have an elite running back or the kind of wide receivers they've had the last few years, but the quarterback at Texas is probably one of the most scrutinized jobs in all of college football.
Yeah. Back to this Arkansas baseball team as we wrap it up here on Hog Reaction. Your final thoughts on a team that finished second in the SEC West, third in all of college baseball when you look at the final standings. What are you going to remember about this team and the players that helped make it special this year, Tommy?
Well, I think you got to remember Connor Nolan and the starts. I think I'd start with that. The starts he gave you in postseason. And while this season, in comparison had the ups and the downs, you still finished second in the SEC West. You still had a heck of a regular season by nearly every standard. But the postseason, you ratcheted it up a notch. And I think you got to look first and foremost to Connor Nolan and the job that he did, giving you some great starts in the postseason. I think starting pitching, and in a couple of cases, the lack thereof is the story of the postseason. Then you look at veterans with the bat, and I think you first turn to Michael Turner and the way he turned it on to the postseason. You look at a young guy like Peyton Stovall and what he did this week. So when it got down to it, I think the veterans led, and he had great performances in pitching from the starting roles, and you had a few veterans that found a way more often than not to light it up and get the timely hits. That was the thing they struggled with at points in the regular season, and a lot of the regular season was the timely hit, the guys left on base, and they seemed to get the timely hits, and particularly when you think about that deciding game at Chapel Hill, Ty, that was all about getting it done in the ninth inning.
I appreciated it for the first time since 2015. This team went on the road and was able to still make it to Omaha. That, to me, is the most impressive, that you go into Stillwater, which is one of the better teams you played all season long, and that includes some really, really good SEC teams. You go into Stillwater, win that regional. Then you followed up with Chapel Hill in North Carolina, who's one of the hottest teams in baseballs, that 3 weeks prior to the ACC tournament, they didn't think they were going to be in. And then that team just went on a tear, including winning the ACC tournament, if I remember that right. And you didn't just beat them in 3 games, you swept them. You beat them in 2. So for a team and a roster that had never gone to a postseason venue outside of Baum Walker and outside of Hoover, Alabama, for them to go through 2 ballparks, 2 venues, and then lose in the College World Series, get put in the loser's bracket, battle back against Auburn, battle back against Ole Miss, and then end up 1 game away from the national championship. This team refused to fold, and it was definitely on display throughout the season.
And, I think the other thing you appreciate or are reminded of, you never doubt Dave. You never doubt Dave Van Horn, because he finds a way to, more often than not, when you seem to be, I don't know if this team was left for dead at the gates of the SEC tournament, the beginning of that, but sure seemed like this wasn't a team going to the College World Series. And in a short amount of time, when he had their full focus and all their time, look what was possible. Look how he molded it into the right shape to get to the College World Series. So we're reminded again, never doubt Dave.
We really appreciate everyone that has listened to our pre- and post-game coverage all couple of weeks during the postseason. For Tommy Kraft, I'm Ty Richardson. We've been live in Omaha. We're going to be back normal time, morning rush tomorrow at 6 a.m. reacting to this game, getting you set for a good weekend. Everyone have a great night, and we'll talk to you at 6 a.m.
Days are here, and at Crane Kia of Fayetteville, we're introducing the Kia Hybrids. Trade up and drive off in the new 2022 Kia Sorento.